Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, teachers. How are you? Silvita, Angelica, Marjorie, Karen,
Good
Julita,
afternoon.
Marta. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So welcome to this streaming.
Afternoon.
So we are going
Good
to start now
afternoon.
with Mr. Germain from Colombia, La Universidad de La Sabana, where he works. So what I can know from him is that he's a person who has been contributing too much. I remember I read once one of you wrote some books, Germain. I remember once I wrote a CLIL, a research about CLIL, no? So it was a quite interesting book, no? So I recommend teachers to find interesting articles and books to be more academic and to know more about how scientific research can effectively can be used, no, in our classes, no, in this. Now we're in online sessions, no. So Jermaine is going to share with us an interesting topic, okay? So I think that teachers we can take advantage of these online presentations and there we go. Welcome, Jermaine. How are you?
Doing really good, Andres. Thank you so much for the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing today? How are things going along? Can you hear me okay? Yeah, can I get a thumbs up?
I think it's okay, Jermaine. That's okay.
Perfect. Okay,
You again.
okay. All right. So you tell me when I can get started, Andres. I can go ahead and start sharing my screen now? Yep. Would that be okay?
Yes, you can share the screen, Jermaine.
Alrighty. Okay. All right. So I have this going on here. I just need to change one thing really fast. Give me a second, and then we're ready to get started. Okay. So with that in mind, I want to say hi, introduce myself to each and every one of you, Jermaine McDougall. Like Andres said, well, thank you very much, Andres, for the invitation. Hopefully this session that I have planned for you guys today is going to be beneficial, worthwhile, and once again, you are going to be able to take something back to your classrooms. I wanted to talk about communication, mainly about how we can get our students to communicate a bit more in a CLIL or content and language type environment. This to give you some ideas about me, Andres, or once again, or to give you some ideas. I work at University of La Sabana. I'm the Director of Faculty and Research at the Department of Foreign Languages and Cultures. I'm also the editor of the Latin American Journal of Content and Language Integrated Learning. I am a very experienced, I should say, teacher trainer, about 17 years now, training teachers throughout Latin America. And so it's been really great getting a chance to see each and every one of you, an opportunity to do lots of other things. And like I said again, I just wanted to say hi, and without further ado, I think I'm going to go ahead and get situated. Okay, I also going to give you 1 second here. Okay, sorry about that. I got two dogs, and so they get excited sometimes when they see me, see what else is going on, and well, sorry about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue up what we got going on here today. So far so good. We can see my screen, okay? Yeah,
Yes.
gotcha. Sharing it. So with that in mind, this is what I have planned for today. This is what I have planned for today's session, and hopefully, well, types of language in CLIL, Chavic's approach to what we call matching language and tasks. Since this is more interactive, I should say webinar type activity, if you have questions or comments, please ask me. You don't have to wait until the end. I like to, once again, get stopped halfway through so I can explain a couple things to you guys. Like anything else, like any good teacher, and especially in a content and language environment, we need to ensure that our students are aware of some of the key concepts and things of that nature we got going on. What I'm going to be presenting to you today is how I would normally present a class. You see, although it's a webinar, I treat all of my webinars, I treat all of my classes under the same capacity. Why? Because since I am a teacher trainer, I am accustomed to doing what? Training teachers. So I am accustomed to asking questions. I'm accustomed to doing lots of different things. So with that in mind, I want to go ahead and get some things done. So with that, well, we're going to be looking at evaluating work. We're going to talk briefly about working together, language for learning, okay, asking questions, process language, and also where we talk about functional language. I'm going to be spending a lot of time, I should say, on what we call functional functional language in that particular instance, okay? So I'm going to be looking a lot at functional language for the most part, and we're going to be looking at this process language and language for learning. These are some of the things, because this is a shorter version of another workshop that I usually deliver, but this is some of the things we're going to look at today. Now, like any other problems that I do have some issues. And what is one of my issues? Sometimes I speak too fast. In the event that I speak faster than I should, or maybe you're not there, let me know so I can repeat myself, or maybe just tell me in a chat box, or however you want to do, okay? That's okay. It's natural for me. I'm a natural, I should say, naturally a fast speaker. So as a result, I have to sometimes be mindful when I go into the classroom or I go into audiences and things of that nature as to how I speak and how I interact, okay? So before we get started, obviously there's some conversation that we need to go on, because if there's no conversation, how can I talk about communicating and I don't allow you guys to communicate in my class? So the main role of what we call a CLIL teacher, and I know all of you in Ecuador are very familiar with CLIL, Content and Language Integrated Learning, is to teach content. That's the goal. Content is the main focus that we have. However, an important role to teaching content is facilitate the learning process through what? Language support. Now, lots of times, my language teachers, my language professionals, what do they tell me? No, actually, my goal here is to teach them, grammatical structures. My goal is to teach them the verb to be. I need to get them to write, etc. Sure. But what we are losing focus on lots of times, that even as language professionals, we have content that we have to deliver. We have content, and some of the content, it comes in many different shapes and sizes, but we have to start looking at our classes as content and not looking at our classes as language. Fair enough? Even though we are language professionals, we have to change our mindset. So I got a couple of things here. I have several people are showing up now. That's good to know. I have several statements. I would like for one of you guys, or even maybe stick it in the chat box, how can, for example, you can complete the sentence. These are also activities that we can do. This is also, as I say, activities that we can do inside our classrooms in order to get our students to also what? Communicate. What am I doing? I am giving you a sentence stem. I'm giving you an opportunity to use the language, and I'm also giving an opportunity to do what? To be successful in communication, all right? So my first question. Not really question, but statement. Highlighting vocabulary, okay? Highlighting vocabulary and vocabulary chunks. So, okay? Anybody would like to maybe fill in the rest of this part right here? Anybody want to give me something at the end here? You can either one, activate your cameras, or two, you can maybe type something in chat box. I'm also looking at the chat box while I speak. I've got like three monitors going on here, so I can see all of you at the same time, so not a worries. What about this one? It says modeling useful structure. Someone want to say something? Yeah, I'm sorry. Uh-oh. So I'm gonna ask you guys another question. If you're gonna speak, go ahead and activate your cameras and speak. If not, I would really ask if you could probably just maybe mute your microphones. That way we can cut down on some of the interference and some of the extra things that we got going on. Fair enough? Okay. So my question is, I want to get you guys to discuss. I want to talk. I want to actually have a conversation. This is an example, what I'm showing here today, what you can also do inside your classrooms. Yeah. So modeling useful structures. Okay. So something can happen. Yeah. What else can go there? What can you add there? Building students' confidence and using the target language. So you can do what? There's something else you can do there. So this is an opportunity for you. Let me go back here to my chat box and see, do I have any here? Okay, not a problem, my dear Catalina. It's all good. All right. And the last one, for example, analyzing errors that learners make so I can do what? So take a few seconds, take a few minutes. All right. I have 5 different options. And if you could take one of the options, only one of the options, and you can maybe complete the sentence in the text box for me right quick. Complete the sentence in the text box. For example, modeling useful structures in the classroom so that I can help my students to be successful in using the language. Building students' confidence in using the target language so they can use the language more often, so they can communicate more often, so they can interact with their peers. Correcting learners by recasting language, okay? So what? They can understand the mistakes so that they can be aware of how to use the language properly, so that they understand how certain things can take place. So if you could, I'll give you a minute because it's only a sentence. I think a minute is more than enough. Pick one, and if you could, that would be great. Okay, thank you so much. Emphasize specific words. Thank you so much, Angelica. Super. So anybody else? I got Angelica. Maximus going on. Super. Awesome. Okay, anybody else? Uh-oh, don't be shy. So I'm gonna give you another 30 seconds and then I'm gonna continue. No worries. It's okay. I know we're just getting started. Meaningful content. Thank you so much, Karen. Okay, develop students' skills. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, got you there. Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay. So we're going to continue there. All right. No, like I said again, this is an exercise that can be done in your classrooms as well. And this exercise right here is quite interesting because why? What are you doing here? You're providing your students with language. Okay. You're trying to help them at the beginning, but also you're providing them with connectors so that they can actually add their ideas. That's the beauty of this. Okay. I am giving them something, and depending on the language levels. Okay, thank you so much, Karen, as well. So Karen's talking about getting speaking confidence. Let's see. I've got Alberto talks about developing student skills. Karen tells me again more about meaningful content. Catalina, thank you so much. Let's see. What about writing or even your comprehension? So all are valid because what's the good thing about this right here? And these are open-ended questions. These are open-ended statements, meaning that the sky is the limit. They can actually say many other things depending on what they want to get done. So that's another good option there. All right. So I'm going to jump really fast and give you some ideas about what we call functional language. Okay. How many of us are familiar with functional language? If you can just give me a thumbs up in the chat box, a yes or a quick no, or I would be more than happy if one of you brave souls would like to give me some ideas about what is functional language. Do you use it in your classrooms? Do you teach it? Okay.
Jermaine, I have a question.
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
When we're referring about this kind of language, we are referring to a specific type of language for a specific real situations, specific moments, no?
That's right, Mr. Andres. Exactly right. So that functional language is language that we use for a specific purpose, for realistic activities. Here are several examples. And like any other teacher and like any other teacher trainer, I need to bring examples to the classroom. So here's my examples. What is the function here? Okay, just write it down. This is gonna be quick. So I can't make it tonight, sorry. What's the function here? Anybody? Thank you very much, Maxima. That's what we do with functional language. Yeah, we teach students how to communicate, but we give them something real to communicate for. There's a purpose behind communication. Here's this one right here. It says right here, I'm afraid I was disappointed by the service. What goes there? Okay, Marjorie says the use of language, social function and communication. You guys are on point. That's the idea. Awesome. But now I am ready for somebody to give me some volunteers to maybe write some responses here. So C would be what? I should have left earlier. What does that mean? Regret. We could order in a pizza. What do you think about that? It'd pay to talk to the boss. Okay, it would pay to talk to the boss. Right here, number E. I'd go along with that. I'm really sorry about the vase. Okay, why don't you come overnight? Why don't you come over tonight? And any chance of coffee? I'll pay. So these are several things. So I got one person, Marjorie says a request. Very good. So now we're getting into it. It's the idea. These are different functions. Okay, these are different functions. So I'm not sure how we're doing on time because I would love for like I said again, we're not an English class, but I would love to get a bit more interaction from you guys. But I'm gonna go ahead and give you some of the responses. Making suggestions. Okay, what did I talk about here? I was talking about making a suggestion. I talked about inviting, giving advice. Okay, very good. Requesting information. I also talked about what? Making an apology. Very good. Refusing. There's agreeing, offering, regretting, and also complaining. So now I'm going to go back again. I'm going to go back. Now that you know the answers to most of them, I'm going to go back and give me some ideas. So what do I have here? I can't make it tonight. What does that mean? What function is that? You can just type it in, or you can activate your audio, and you can just tell me what the answer is. Okay, I can't make it tonight. We're maybe talking about denial. Okay, what's another word for that? Yeah. It'd be right here in that particular case. Yeah. What about this one? I'm afraid I was disappointed by the service. Sure, that's another way of saying it, Karen. Sorry for not coming. Okay, very good. Gotcha. Any ideas there? We could not order in a pizza, or we could order in a pizza. Just a suggestion. Giving some ideas to whoever I'm talking with. My son, my wife, my daughter, a cousin, a brother, a neighbor, etc. Okay. What about this one right here? Hey, no worries. I'll pay. What do you think? What is that all about? What function is I'll pay? I will pay. Maybe it's an invitation. Yeah. So regardless of this, what I want to focus on here, give you guys some ideas, is that when we are teaching language, when we're communicating, we need to understand, and we need to get our students to understand that we communicate for a purpose. I don't just communicate because, okay? Whenever I open up my mouth, and whenever you open up your mouth for a particular purpose. Okay, either is to express hunger. I'm hungry. I say something. It's regret. I'm making an apology. Whatever it is, we are opening our mouth for something in particular. So as you can see right here, these are only some of the functions that we have in that particular instance. Only some of the functions that we have in that particular instance. Okay. So let me go back over here, and we're going to go ahead and continue a little bit more. All right. So here's some other examples. Look at this one right here. Thinking about your classes. Okay. Let's give me a show of hands. Let me get a show of hands, or maybe if you can write it inside the text box, it would be great. How many of us teach something else different from English inside the class? Different from English. For example, math, social studies, I don't know, religion, philosophy, or just language. Only all English here? Yes? Yeah? Okay. All right, no worries. Okay, there you go. I got some more stuff coming. I got science, Mercedes, super, religion. Okay, only English. Thank you so much, Karen. All right. Hello, Carlota. How are you, my dear? Welcome. Language arts. Okay, religion. Nice, nice. Okay. So we have a mix here of a little bit math. Okay, very good. Gotcha. Super. All right. Anything else? Cool. Music. Interesting. Culture. Wow, that's an interesting one. Culture. Super. Nice. Okay. So I see that most of us here are teaching other things aside from English. We're teaching in English, but we're teaching other things, which is great. These are some other examples I should say right here when we're talking about functional language. If I'm going to agree or disagree, I'm asking questions. There are many different ways to ask questions. Okay, history as well. History is again, no worries, I got you. Mercedes, no problem. Comparing and contrasting, demonstrating. Hello, okay, greetings again, Ruth, welcome. Okay. So as you can see here, there are many different ways in which we can actually communicate that information. What is our goal? What's my goal today is to introduce you to all the different ways of which we can communicate inside the classroom. But aside from communicating inside the classroom, we need to ensure that all of our students are aware that there are different ways to say certain things, but they are also aware of the function. The language function is very, very important. Why? Because it gives us purpose in life. You see, here, look at these math problems right here. Look at these math problems right here. And so in order to add, look at all of the different options I have to add. Look at all of this. All of this right here talks about only one thing, to add. Can you imagine? And here, if I want to subtract something, look at all the different options I have in order to subtract. There are many different possibilities. So the goal here is that we as teachers are also aware of all the different ways to communicate that information. But also, we need to be very mindful for our students so they also understand those types of things as well. Okay. Now, I'm going to move on a little bit. And like I said again, we only have a few minutes, so I'm doing my best to give you exposure, I say, to certain things. So here's another model I'm looking at, and it's a really interesting model. I like this model. It's a very useful model, especially when I am just getting started, when I am combining content and language, when I am looking at the different bilingual environments. I'm trying to figure out, where do I start? How do I start? What do I do? I don't know about you, but years ago, you know, and you just gotta kind of, I should say, got thrown to the wolves, you know, in the sense that you're trying to figure out what is the best route to take. What do I do? Sure, I speak English very well, or sure, I speak Spanish very well. How do I get my students to speak, interact, and do certain things? So this particular model, the Chadwick model, is going to provide you with some ideas by asking only 4 questions. Can you imagine? 4 questions to help with what? Language support using functional language, you see? Because the goal here is we have content, we have something to teach, but if I'm going to try to figure out how to agree and disagree, what language do I need to agree and disagree? If I'm going to be asking questions, what language do I need to ask questions? Okay. And if I'm going to be demonstrating something or listing or describing or showing, what language do I need? You see, these are things that we have to ask ourselves, and you have to ask yourselves and be reminded constantly about that. So check it out. These are 4 questions. So I want you guys to think about it, because I think the time allows me, but I would like for us to go through this together. I'm going to give you some 4 questions, and then in the very next slide, we're going to do it somehow together as a group to see how it works out. So what are my students actually doing? Okay, think about that. What are my students actually doing? All right. What are the cognitive processes as well as the creative thinking skills that they are using? Okay, what are they? Cognitive processes as well as creative thinking, because it's interesting there. All right. What about the functional language that goes with the skills that I am trying to get them to understand? Okay, the functional language that goes along with the skills. All right. So let's say I got some more people here. Luis, welcome again. I've got Julia, welcome again. Awesome. Great to have you guys on board. Awesome. And the last one, how can I help my students with the language? You see, scaffolding support at all times. Okay. At all times. All right. So we got 4 questions here. Now I want you to think about your classrooms, because I'm going to show you a sample class. I'm going to show you one of my classes, but as a result of showing you my class, I want you to think about yours. Okay. Think about this. Applying this particular approach, but look at an example. Now, this is what I am actually doing. My students are designing a flyer, okay, about the effects of alcohol on the body, myths and facts. They have read different texts on the topic, and they are now in groups to share. See? ¿Cómo vamos? Good. So this is what my students are actually doing. My question is, what am I doing? Where did I get this task from? It came from my syllabus. It came from my program. It came from my suggested activities in the course book that I'm using. Okay? This is what I'm doing. Designing a flyer. And what's the flyer going to be about? The effects of alcohol on the body, facts, and myths. Okay? The next question says what? They are using thinking skills, for example, comparing, evaluating, suggesting, contrasting, interpreting, planning, as well as creating. So what does that correspond to? I am thinking about how am I going to get my students to think. So we're talking about cognitive as well as creative thinking opportunities here for them. You see, cognition, because along with the doing, I need to ensure that my students also are going to acquire certain competences and things of that nature. Okay. Now, what language do I need? What language do I need? How am I going to help them? How am I going to help them? So the functional language is what? Hey, let's do this. Why don't we? Okay. What about now? If yours says this, then we should do this. We could do this, but yours is different because, well, it can't be this because of da 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 da. You see, etc. This functional language right here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the area that most of the time we fail to give our students. We assume, we think that they know everything or they know something, but we never give them these types of opportunities to communicate. I am identifying the functional language that's needed, and I'm going to show my students, give it to them on a 3x5 flashcard. I'm going to give it to them in a glossary. I write it on a board. Your choice. But they need to be aware of the different opportunities to use the language and how they can succeed in using that language, okay? And last but not least, I say what? How am I going to support them? How am I going to help them, okay? Elicit and highlight the functional language for suggesting and planning together on the board. So maybe it's on the board or maybe somewhere else, okay? Okay, gotcha, no worries. So do I stop now, and do you want me to continue, or what do you want me to do? Or just keep talking, and when it stops, I go back?
Jermaine, at this moment, I would tell you that we
Stop?
have the 49 minutes now, the Zoom limit now.
Correct. So we got 10 minutes left.
Exactly. So in
Okay. Or
occasionally
actually
we'll
4 minutes. 4 minutes.
exactly. So we can reconnect again as soon as we finish the
Perfect.
don't worry.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So as you can see right here, what I was saying here, how can I do this in my class? How can I do this in my class? So thinking about this in my class, okay, what about you in your class? Okay, what would be a topic? Now, normally I would take these activities, okay, in a workshop where we are working together, but we can also do something similar now, but the time's not going to allow us. But I want you to either take a screenshot of this picture right here, take a snapshot of this, think about a topic that you just taught yesterday, okay, it's Friday if we had class, or think about a topic that you're going to be teaching next week if you have class. And think about, go through the 4 steps. Okay, what are my students going to do? They're going to be giving a presentation, okay, about what? My students need to use their present perfect to do something. Okay, why? Okay, what cognitive processes go along with that? Well, I'm going to get my students to create, to evaluate. They're going to be doing this. They're going to have to negotiate. They're going to have to debate, etc. All right. And what about the functional language? What about the functional language? What tips, what expressions, what phrases do they need in order to be successful inside the class? Okay, so if I'm going to be speaking mainly about, I don't know, modal verbs, you know, think about future tenses, I need to give them some tips and expressions for the future tenses, for example. So these are some of the things. And then I talk about what? Help. How am I going to help my students? This is all about scaffolding, and damiaje. This is what I got going on here. So I got Karen, it could be, sure, it could be when they do when they're hanging out with their friends, for example. If that's going to be something in your class, Karen, in that particular instance, okay? So if that's, you know, something that you're going to be doing there, bring it into the classroom. The idea is for us to maybe possibly go through these 4 functions here, okay? So with that in mind, I'm going to go to the next one. So as you can see here, all right? And I think I'll save this one here before we get connected, but I'll just go ahead and get started, whatever. So any questions or comments, considering, I should say, this particular approach right here? Any questions or comments about this approach? Is it doable? Do you think you can maybe take this back to your classroom and do something very similar? Have you done something like this before? So Alberto's telling me, okay, gotcha. These are some other functions that we got going on. All right, Alberto, thanks.
Jermaine, probably we English teachers here in Ecuador, in the Ministry of Education related to National English Curriculum, okay, from the 2016, the GLENDA approach was introduced in the national curriculum. So
Correct.
all lessons that we have in the books were included using clear and communicative activities. So as a teacher, as teachers we already, I think you already used this, but the problem is that we didn't have a specific training how to use it as you are doing now with us.
Okay. No, thanks for that intervention, Andres. But yeah, the idea is that, like I said again, there are many different ways. I'm just trying to give you some ideas at the moment as to different models, approaches that could be used in order to be successful, I should say, when combining both content and language inside the classroom in that particular instance. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next one and see what we got going on here. So based on that, I'm going to give you some ideas about here. Anybody heard of the lexical approach before? Lexical. What is the lexical approach? No? Okay, Sylvia says no. Okay, no, Puli, gotcha. Well, as you can see in my talk today, I have several different sure, Karen, I can go back to scaffolding. Let me go back. So when I talk about scaffolding is what we do here at the very bottom, okay? And when I talk about scaffolding, I think it's in Spanish, indamiaje or something like that, where we use the input we got going on, not the input, but scaffolding. It's when we give them additional support. For example, when I scaffold something, think about riding a bicycle the first time, or think about making eggs, thinking about doing something, one skill that you already have, Karen, that you've acquired nowadays and you know how to do well. When we scaffold things, we usually model. Okay, we show people how to do it. After that, we try to do it by ourselves. There you go, Silvia, muy bien, step by step. Okay, and then after that, I have an opportunity to do it by myself without any help. Okay, and then as time progresses, I get a little bit better, and then I maybe ask for help from time to time, but no, but not so much. So, I think Karen had asked me a question about scaffolding. Karen, was it okay? If not, at the end, I can give you some more information.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Hello, by the way. I just wanted um, to know a little bit because you said that you use that in your classes. So I
Yes.
really like to know how you use it. But anyway, you have explained it perfectly. So and actually, I use in my classes. So I usually work with seniors. So and that's why I said that the title of the class could be hanging out with uh, friends because is that what they usually do, and if we're going to use functional language, um,
Uh-huh.
that that we have to start, like seeing what they most of the students like to do. So
Okay.
that is, and even uh, in the for adults is the same thing. So yeah, I just listening to your and it's very very interesting actually. Yeah, thank you very much.
No, thank you so much, Karen. Thank you so much. Awesome for sharing. Super. So, give me some ideas really fast. Lexical approach corresponds to what? It's not only about individual words. No. Lexical approach is more about creating fluency. Yes, it is. And the lexical approach is more about, I should say, getting students, learners to remember functional phrases. Functional phrases. Okay. When I talk about lexical approach, we're talking about using, instead of individual words, is chunks of words. Chunks of words. If you saw a few minutes ago, I had shown you several examples of some of the, I should say, functional language that we need, but I also showed you the expressions and phrases that correspond to help with that. So the idea is with the lexical approach is we try to get our students to understand those large chunks in order to move forward. I want to give you some more examples. As always, I bring many examples to the table so we can get a better understanding about how this works. For example, here, look at the words in bold. Actually, I've done them for you. And the goal here was to, we were supposed to organize the words in bold into different areas, but I've done them for you already. So when I talk about introducing information, these are some of the words, I should say some of the words that I could probably say. Some of the words, not all, but I say a basic principle of, the advantages of, etc. This is all about introducing information. I can also have different types of phrases for what? Rephrasing information. In other words, if you accept this, etc. Okay? And if I'm going to talk about, for example, giving a condition, okay? Once again, it is da 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 vital for, you see, and we move on. These are, once again, these are opportunities for us. This is introduce information. It's a function, okay? And this is the language right here that goes along with that. So once again, there is a purpose for why we speak. It's not the verb to be. It's not the present perfect. It's not, I should say, infinitives or hyperboles, etc. It is about using the language for a real purpose. That's why it's called functional language. Yeah. Here's some other what we call speaking and writing frames. Okay. These are what we call sentence starters. I did this at the very beginning of the class of our session today to give you some ideas about a few things. So, sentence starters are used for what? Practical subjects. Learners asked to evaluate a project when they're taking part in, or they can say or write certain things. So, once again, these are just some examples of how we can give our students to do some things. Okay, I learned that. One thing I discovered was, and I found out that. So, what can I do? I am finishing up with my class at the end of the day, or I'm finishing up my session in a few minutes. And in order to give my students, instead of saying, hey, did you understand? Do you have any questions? Is everything okay? Do you have something for me? No. We give them sentence starters. What are they called? These are called what? These are called boom, frames, okay? Speaking and writing frames. Fair enough? And they have a purpose. And the purpose in this particular one corresponds to what? Evaluating a project, maybe they've taken part of it, to say something about it, or maybe the experience of this particular session that we're in right now. I can ask you something else. So I can ask, for example, Karen, What did you learn from the first 20 minutes or 30 minutes of the session today? Karen, she can tell me, hey, I learned that Jermaine also uses, I should say, scaffolding in his classes. One thing I discovered was functional language is very important to give students a purpose in life. And Karen could also say, I found out that the lexical approach corresponds to using chunks of language in order to help functional language to be much more vivid, etc., amongst the students, you see? So these are speaking and what we call writing frames. They're also very helpful when asking learners to organize their thoughts in a particular way, comparing and contrasting, for example. What would that look like? One similarity between this book and the other book is that the first book was written in 1984, and this book was written in 2010, for example. We are giving them opportunities to succeed in the classroom. Okay, what do I want them to do in terms of a function of language? The function is what? Comparing and contrasting. Comparing and contrasting. As a result of comparing and contrasting, I need to give them the language to do so. I need to give them the language to do so, because if I don't give them the language, then what's going to happen? Well, I get what I always get in my class. It's que they don't talk to me, they don't want to interact, they don't say anything, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Here's another example right here. Let's go with the next one. The next one talks about what? A key distinction between, for example, once again, talking about comparing and contrasting. So a key distinction between this one, a key difference, the main difference between all of these right here, you can change however you want. If your students, they don't know the word distinction, they can use another word, difference, okay? Or the main similarities if we're comparing. And if I want to contrast, the main differences, you see? And you can talk to them and you can get them to use the language in a different capacity. But guess what? If you yourself are not aware, how are your students going to be aware? And if you yourself don't plan accordingly and think about these things, how are your students going to do that as well? Okay. What about this one? Speaking and writing as well. Use extended writing practice as well. I also use them for writing in that particular instance to give them some ideas on how to what? Start the paragraph, how to respond to different questions, etc., etc. Okay, so here are some examples. I have several examples here. Let me see over here. Let me open up the chat box because I had it closed. Voila, get back in the corner. I put you here, and voila. Okay, yeah, right. So I got PC7 tells me, yeah, it depends on the level. You're so right. Yeah, depending on the level, we have many other things going on. And so we can actually increase the language. We can keep the language the same, or we may have to what? Decrease the language, decrease the language. Here are some other ongoing strategies, okay, that can help your students. These right here, I think, are, display posters for useful language in the class, okay? Help learners to look up, I should say, keep a book of the language that they're using, okay? What else? The idea with CLEAL, okay, is that we what? English teachers support the language needed in the classes, okay? There needs to be good communication between the subject teacher and the language teacher. It's called teamwork, working together, collaboration, all right? I've seen in many schools, and I also trained lots of teachers in terms of the math teachers in English, working with la profe de matemáticas, okay? I also teach my social studies to teachers to work together. I have sociales with geography. I have geography teacher with the English teacher. Okay. I have biology with biología. Some schools, they have two teachers that are teaching the same topics. Others, they only have one. But guess what? So I try to find that language expert for the level, for the section, etc. And to have some meetings at the beginning of the school year, throughout the time, to what? To help colleagues, not to teach their classes, no, but to help them become familiarized with how to take advantage of the language that they're using, okay? Here's another one, for example, dealing with emerging languages. That is awesome. Because as you know, the emerging language is what? That's the language that you or me, we did not plan for. It just happens. Se sale. So if I put them into a group, okay, and I want them to negotiate, and I want them to work together to come up with one solution or one problem or one presentation, etc., what do they need? They need to be able to negotiate, to agree and disagree, okay? They need to be able to debate, okay, they need to. And so these are things that I am not teaching them, but this is language that's going to emerge as a result of the task that they have to complete. Fair enough? Okay? And so that emerging language is equally important, which means we have to be prepared for it. By what? Thinking ahead of the game. And once again, rotating around the class, thinking about what's going on. So if they're going to work in pairs, what are some possibilities that's going to take place? Okay. What else can I say? Also, we can use text, the text from our books, from the information that we have, to notice functional written language. You see, sácalos de ahí. So you say, hey, can you find out what's the function here in this particular paragraph? What language here is going to help me understand that they need to compare, that there is a complaint, that they are giving advice, they're giving some suggestions. So, oigan, muéstrame, where's it at? And so that's also in the written language that helps out. Also, we can talk about in the listening text. In the listening text, okay, we just listened to one extract. Can you please give me some ideas and what did you find? So we listened to 2 minutes, we listened to 3 minutes. We're not talking about 20-minute listening activities. Short tasks to get them familiarized with what? What to listen for, how to understand the functions of the language. So, they're asking me to sit down. Oh, they want me to actually start my presentation. Oh, they want me to give my response to the mathematical problem, etc., etc., etc. Okay? Also, we can help them in the classroom. So these are some other things. These are all, once again, these are just full of tips I'm giving you guys right now. Tips. Giving learners a chart that will help them with the language. Okay, charts like the chart that I gave you a few minutes ago. I gave you guys a chart, but look at this one here. This is a chart. Oh wait. Sorry, qué pena. Here, look at this chart right here. This chart right here, we can also give them charts like this inside the classroom for different things, to make them aware of the language, to make them see, not to isolate the language and make it boring, no, to make them aware of the different functions. So, okay, guys, we've just read this paragraph, we just read this page, we just read this section. Okay, take a few minutes and I need you to organize the information as such. Okay, as such. No, of course, Karen, let me see, take a. Yes, I totally agree, my dear, totally agree. We have to take advantage of what they know. Take advantage. But the only way by taking advantage of what they know is by interacting with them. Super, super awesome, Karen. So, what are some other tips that I have here? Learners that help them with the language, drill language before tasks. Okay, that's what we are used to do. That's what we normally do, anyways. Okay, quick matching competitions using Kahoot, using any other online platform, interactive activities and things of that nature. These are great ways to get that done. Matching, meaning matching more complex. We start small, we go big, but once again, these are tips that can help them inside the class. Sentence stems, like we just saw a few minutes ago. Sentence frames, we just saw a few minutes ago on the board. You can do on the board, you can put it into your PowerPoint presentations, you can put it inside your online classes, your remote learning environments, etc. Okay? And deal with the emerging language. It is very important. Okay, very important. And once again, what we call circle useful language, using a text or exponents, etc. Now, once again, here's a little quiz for us. Not really quiz, but sample tasks that you can also do, but I'm going to do with you to see if we get in the big picture. Fair enough? So, who's going to help me out? I'm looking for volunteers because I'm talking way too much. So the first one, you should clean your brush before you add more paint. Who's going to give me what goes here? Describing, I'm giving advice, talking about a past object, giving instructions, a reason, or describing a result. ¿Qué opinas? Which one?
Advice.
Giving advice.
Giving advice is what we say here, okay? So we're going to say advice. I'm going to scratch that out because yeah, we have already used it. Listo? Okay. We're going to check my answers in a bit. Super. Good job. Bend your knees, lean forward, and hold. ¿Qué opinas?
Giving instructions.
Okay, very good. Giving instructions, my dear. Awesome. The lake is smaller because water has evaporated. Looking at the keyword here being because.
Giving an opinion, giving the reason.
Reasons.
Okay, so we say give reasons. See? We say give reasons. Todos?
Yes.
All right. Listo. Next one. A polygon is a 2D shape which has got straight sides. So a polygon, I'm giving a definition. Huh? What's up?
Description.
So I got describing, talking about, or describing results. Which one? Results or objects?
Objects.
Gotcha. And here, ancient Greek citizens would meet regularly to make decisions about politics. ¿Qué opinas? Ancient, keyword here being ancient. And look at this language right here. Would meet. Talk about what? I only have this one right here. So, talking about past lifestyles. See, ya se fueron, gone. And the last one, ta-da, over 75% of the countries more forest, etc. So we're talking about maybe results. Maybe, I don't think so. So I'm gonna check and see my answers. See, miramos los resultados. A ver, this is what I got. You should clean your brush before you add paint. So giving advice. For those who said give advice, muy bien. Giving instructions. Awesome job here. I'm giving reason. Why? Because here it's because. The lake is small because water has evaporated. I'm giving reasons. Reasons. Because water has evaporated, because it's not raining as much anymore, because there's a lot of sun, because of, etc. Due to, as a result of, lo que sea. Describing objects, muy bien, we got that one right. Talking about past lifestyles, we got that one right. And describing results. Viste, mira, resultados. Okay, results. And so in that particular case, so we got most of them right. Okay, what do you think about these types of activities? Once again, the function is what? This is my function over here. This is my function. Fair enough? And this is the action that our students are doing, or this is just the communication that they need. This is what our students do here. Okay, but we as language professionals, we need to know what that is so we can better teach it, so we can introduce it, or we can do something else with it. All right, that's the goal there. Any questions on this one? Did you like this particular activity? Was it okay? So far, so good? All right. And as you can see here, just to move forward, these are an array of what we call language functions. Language functions, tons of them. And this is what we do inside the classroom. Okay, this is what we do inside the classroom. But unfortunately, we are so focused on evaluating, we're focused on assessing, we are forgetting about why we do what we do. We teach in order to help our students to communicate effectively and efficiently in any class, regardless of where they are. Okay, that's our role in life. And meaning that these things right here should be a priority to us. They should be a priority. But what else do I see here? These are also things that provide, this is that cognition as well. When I talk about CLIL and cognition, I have communication and I have cognition. You see how they work together? So CLIL corresponds to the 4 C's: content, communication, cognition, and culture, right? So content has been given to me. I say, okay, what am I going to do with that content? How am I going to get them to learn, to think about it? And then at the same token, how am I going to get them to communicate that idea, both written as well as in spoken term? Okay, that's the idea here. So as you can see here, these are lots of things right here. Think about my science class. We do lots of instructing and we do lots of hypothesizing in my science classes. What about this one here? Describing cause and effect. Describing a process. I mean, they need to know these things. They do it, but they're not really good at it. But if we focus on it more, we can do a lot more. Okay, so to come to bring my little space to an end, because you know I was a bit more interactive where you talked while I talked and we talked together. And do you think we achieved our goal for today? The goal was for you to learn about ways to communicate in the class, understanding how language is used inside our classrooms at nowadays. Okay, this is now where you're going to assess me, you're going to evaluate me, but at the same token, you give me some ideas. Hey, reflect on what took place over these last 45 minutes. Do you think you can use some of these ideas in the class? And this, before I leave, I want you to tell me one thing that you learned today. One thing, one thing. So you can either one, activate your cameras, or I may activate the camera as well as your what? Your microphones. So I can put a face with a name, and well, any other questions or comments you may have, I'm open.
Well, something I learned, Jermaine, is when you explain about the topic lexical approach. Now, for me was, okay, I'm familiar with the word lexical, but the lexical approach itself, I didn't know about it, how it works. So when I
Okay.
heard you, it was very interesting how to apply it in class.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Maybe 2 or 3 more other individuals. And we have 33 people here. So like I said, again, it's going to be crazy if we all spoke. But I would love to see some ideas in the chat box. Okay, I got here. Functions inside the content is something really important to take into account in my classes. Awesome idea, Maxima. Super. Yes. No? Okay.
Well, when you said about that the students should know what they are going to learn, like you said, inside classes, they are going to learned. I don't know. I don't remember the words because the slides it was so fast. And even
Sorry.
I am using my cell phone, so that's why I can't show you my face. But
Okay, no
anyway,
worries,
so
Karen.
I just I learned about that, but I really well I have an idea of all of that stuff, and as um I Andres said, um, it's really nice how you can combine lexical with functional. So it's very nice. I liked it that, and even how could you be able to do that in online classes? So that is I really I don't know, that is really amazing because I for me is being a little hard
Uh-huh.
uh, pass from a classroom with 4 students just to give online classes. And in some cases we don't have enough resources to use, like we are doing this right now, like a video conference or using Zoom. Here we
Okay.
only have the app WhatsApp, and
Sure, sure.
sometimes I feel like I am working a radio or something like that because
Uh-huh.
I just have to speak and nobody answer to me, and I can't and even I can't put into group the students so they can interact each other. So that is a little frustrating for me. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. No, thank you so much, Karen, for connecting via your cell phone and on a Saturday afternoon to and to listen to this crazy guy. But super. Thank you so much for
No,
your
no, no,
intervention
you're
and your
not
feedback.
crazy. You
No,
are
I think I
definitely,
am.
yeah,
Sometimes I think I
definitely.
am.
Well, I
No.
don't know.
Okay, gotcha. So, like I said again, if you don't have anything else, you can, okay, see, good. Lexical approach again. I see lots of coming up ideas with a lexical approach. Okay, lots of ideas can be applied into the class. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, the idea is for students still be not to learn just grammatical structures. That's not our goal in life. It used to be. Language has changed over the last few decades, and now we need to use the language for a purpose. And so, by using that purpose, we can do a lot more. Gotcha. Because they can communicate with anyone across the board and all over different environments and things of that nature. So if there's, what about questions? You guys have any other questions or comments? Because I think we have like 5 or maybe 10 minutes left in our session for today. So if you had any other questions, think something that you would like me to expand on, or maybe some doubts, or maybe somebody wants to maybe share some experiences about how what we have done so far today. You maybe are doing it already, or you're going to maybe adjust some of your teaching practices.
What about if you remind us about lexical approach?
Sure, of course, my dear. The lexical approach, I'm going to go ahead and pause this for 1 second. Let me stop this here. And of course, se le tiene, my dear. So let me discard this. And I'm going to share another little slide with you. I already have it set up because this comes with something else. So the lexical approach, I can stop sharing this. Let me share it again. Nope. Nope. Stop 1 second. Lexical approach. What happened here? Can you see my screen or no? No.
Yes,
Yes, you
you can.
can. Is it blank or what does it look like? So I'm trying to share something else.
We are on the feedback now, Jermaine.
It still says feedback. Now I want to get off the feedback and I need to go somewhere else. Well, function. Okay, here we go, and here we go. So I can share this with you. I'll be more than happy to send this to Andres, give you some ideas. Can we see now? It should be a Word document that's on my screen.
I'm still seeing
You still seeing it?
the slides. Yeah.
Okay, you're still seeing the slide. So let me go ahead. Okay, here, compartir. Nothing? No?
Not yet.
You just say, I need, ahora sí, ya. Sorry, I'm doing too many things at the same time, so sometimes my little computer gets a little tired. Now it should be a Word doc. It says the lexical approach.
Now, yes, we can see it.
All right. So The lexical approach talks about many different things. And so this is a little short reading and a little short thing that I use in terms of my training sessions in order to get trainees to better understand what the lexical approach is about. Corresponding to what? Using lexical chunks, okay? And that's talking about 3 to 5 words. These are usually phrases, okay? These are idiomatic expressions, etc. And it's used to what? Help fluency in that particular instance. Then instead of just giving a set of grammar rules, or instead of giving a list of vocabulary words, what we do is we push like items together. Like items together. I do have a link here that I can also share with you. I just saw it. And I think this link here can also be beneficial to you. I'm going to stick it here in the chat box right now. Give you some ideas about what's going on. And let's go chatear, and I'm going to stick that here. So you can also look there at that particular link, get some ideas. In terms of what we call the lexical approach, also has lots of advantages, okay? Because we get so many things done. It draws the students' attentions to what? The larger structure of the conversation, okay? It brings their attention to something, the larger focus, not the tiny little words that we see there. That sometimes as language professionals, we spend a lot of time on the small, tiny things. But the lexical approach brings out, I should say, the larger portion and conversation that we got going on inside the class, all right? The basic principle behind it corresponds to what? Language is grammaticalized lexis, meaning that grammar plays a marginal role, chiquitico, chiquitico, yeah? Telling us what order to put the words and phrases in. Now, if you accept the principle, the logical suggestion that we should spend more time helping learners develop their collection of phrases and less time on grammatical structures. ¿Listo? Aquí vamos is what I want to make sure you guys understand that, okay? Less focus on grammatical issues and more focus on language in terms of putting like items together in order to make sense, to have a function in life, yeah? Have a purpose when they open their mouths, okay? Some other examples, for example, here, the mind can store large amounts of information, long-term memory, so it is much more efficient for the brain to recall a chunk of language, chunks of language. See, chunks of language corresponds to what? 3 to 5 words. That's what a chunk is, okay? In terms of the lexical items that we're talking about. And like this expression right here, this is an expression to say raining cats and dogs. Yeah. If I were to separate these 3 words, 1, 2, 3, 4 words, it's not going to make sense. It's not going to make sense. You see? So by putting these together, these lexical chunks and phrases and things that get together, I can get a lot more done. Okay. So I hopefully that gave you some ideas. I think I'm not sure who answered the question. Was it Karen that asked the question? I can't remember. But hopefully, you know, gave you some ideas as to how that could work out.
Oh, I totally get it. Thank you very much, sir.
No, I had it.
Yeah.
I had it already prepared, Karen. No
Yeah,
worries.
no, and even because when I just listened to you saying the phrase John's words, and I said, oh, I remember, I know what you're going to talk about. So that's why I said, okay, can you refresh us a little bit about that? So
sure.
And I think that all of us now will remember that. So well,
okay.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Okay. Well, Andres, you tell me. I don't know if there are other questions or comments that somebody else wanted to bring up or something else. Let me go back to the chat box and see if there's something else out there.
Okay, for the group of teachers. So you got any questions? So I think this is the moment to ask our speaker about the well, we're referring to the lexical approach, but you have any question about the whole topic, you can do it now. Well, Jermaine, okay, somebody else? Okay, Angelita, creo. Angelica.
No, Angelica or Angelita is the same. Oh, I want to say thank you. Your webinar was excellent, as always. Thank you so much.
Kind. You're too kind, my dear. Thank you so much. Good to see you again. Okay.
I just want to make a comment about the lexical approach, Jermaine. The last part when you showed us the document, the Word document, no? And it mainly emphasized more on the semantics, the meaning, rather than grammatical purpose, no? and
Correct.
that's why we teachers need to understand because you know, during the process of learning during the process of teaching English, okay, as we know, it existed different approaches, the grammar approach, the natural approach, etc. So many of them, okay, has different advantages, positive side, but the thing is that we are forgetting to focus more on the meaningful communication, which is necessary at the end of the when the
Okay.
students need to know, for example, when they is using English for a specific purpose. No, so I think lexical approach can maximize and reduce that grammar content that we usually follow in the syllabus, no, or the curriculums.
Okay. Totally. Yeah, the idea is using looking at the language from a different perspective. And isolating grammatical structures, as you guys know, it's not the best option. That's why the grammar translation method died years ago. But like I said again, if we figure out what we want them to do, we can get them to be much more, I should say, um, prepared to use the language, much more confident to use the language. You see, in that particular instance. Okay.
So
Well,
Jermaine, I was reading the teachers' comments in the here in the chat. So I see that they were so nice and pleased about the topic, no? But if how they can connect you, I saw that you present your email and a Facebook page, no?
sure.
So if they're really interested in asking you something or following you, they can go there to those
Yeah,
websites.
you can find me all over. My email account as well as all my contact information is all integrated. So if you find me in Facebook, I have my own Facebook fan page, so you can find me, Jermaine McDougal. You can find me personally there, my Facebook fan page. Or if you want to find a program, and I am the one that manages the program behind that, so you can find me there as well. And so, like I said again, or you can shoot me an email. Your choice. I mean, the sky's the limit. It's up to you what you want to do. But like I said again, I am open as always. I'm open to get things done. I am always looking for new things, new challenges, and I always enjoy, I should say, working with other colleagues. I'm going to put here two other pages here so you get some idea. This is my own personal fan page, so you'll be able to find some information there. Track me down, figure out what's going on. You can also follow me in terms of in the social media, but also you can just type my name in Google, and I think you come up with tons of different options in terms of articles that you can read, access to many different types of things, etc. I had talked to Andres before, and also, I am the editor of a journal. So once again, I'm going to put that here. So if you want to read some of the stuff that we have out there, which is really good and interesting, be sure to read some of that information as well. Got lots of stuff going on, articles about what CLEAL is all about, and about content and language, etc. So you can also take a few minutes and look and do some of those things as well. But like I said again, I'm open, I'm available, I'm all over the place. You can find me anywhere. Just type my name in. I think you'll be able to. I'll pop up most of the places, anywhere, usually.
Well, thank you so much, Jermaine,
Okay.
for this webinar and everything that
Hmm.
we have learned new in this moment. So I would say that teachers, thank you so much because I see
Okay.
that you are showing us and sharing your revistas Unisabana and your Facebook fan page, no? So I think the teachers we can be in touch
Yeah,
with you. There we go. So, and
totally.
teachers. I will be so glad again to see you these webinars that we have every Saturday. So thank you so much for this contribution, and we are going to continue next Saturday. Jermaine, I hope this is not going to be the first time. I hope
Oh,
to
you tell me,
see
dude.
you next time in another
You tell
place.
me. You tell me. You invite. Let me know what's going on. I'll be more than happy to stop in and say hi and do some things with you guys. As me, it's a pleasure. Like I said again, I enjoy talking with teachers. I enjoy taking the time out to do these types of things. This is what I do, and so from one colleague to another, we can learn a lot from each other. And well, I look forward to hearing from you guys as well. Maybe Silvia, maybe Adriana, who knows, Mercedes, Wilson, Rosa
Yeah.
Maria. I don't know. We can do some
Sí,
things there. So you know,
tú no
or
tienes.
Javier, claro. See, you guys invite
Okay.
me to see what's going on.
Javier, how are you, Javier?
Thank you so much.
Okay. So Well, so we have already finished this
Okay.
webinar. And we are going to
Oh,
okay, so it was a pleasure. I hope
okay.
to see you next time. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye. Ciao. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye, Jermaine. Thank you.
Take care. Okay. Be good.